So, well, as you see, the engine is pretty much together and ready to install inside the SC300. I have the turbo on. I bolted the turbo manifold on. I usually put a lot of plastic or covering on my turbo and my valve covers just because the chain for my hoist, you already know, lays across the valve cover. So I set a piece of cardboard over top of this. And I usually wrap this up because of my strut tower. So if anything happens, if this actually rubs up against the strut tower, it won't scratch the strut tower up or anything like that, even though my strut tower is already scratched up a little. But long story short, it's ready to go into the car. Looks nice. Everything's together. Still a couple of pieces to put on here and there, my alternator and my intake manifold, but I usually install those once the engine is in the car. Just, you know, there's more space and more ways I can see my motor mounts without that stuff being on. Right now, I'm gonna go over the way that I usually prime my oil pump before I actually put it in the car, and do, I would call it almost like a pre-startup prime up, and I'll do that when I get the engine inside the car and show you guys how I do that on the car. So I pretty much go over this thing twice for real, to make sure all my oil pressures is good, to make sure everything's getting oil it needs to be. All right, guys. So before you even get this process started, make sure you got a drain pan. It doesn't have to be a big one like this, but some sort of drain pan, and paper towels, because you're going to make a big mess. All right, let's get this out the way now before you even get started with the process. Get your drain pan and some nice amount of paper towels and a funnel. So what you do is, whatever oil you're going to run in the car, if you're going to run 10W30, 2050, 530, it's okay to use any one of those, whatever you're going to run in the car. Breaking oil that you're going to actually use to break your engine in, you can use that right now, or like I said, any oil that you're going to actually run in the car, because it's not going to be a ton of oil that's actually going to make it into the oil pump, because most of it's going to spill. So the only thing you're doing is literally trying to get most of the air out of the oil pump and replace that with oil. So that way it's just not, metal grinding on metal on the first startup. So what you're going to do is, first off, take your oil filter housing off if it's not already off. You have two ports here. This port leads into the engine. This port leads into the oil pump. And you can see the indentation right here leads into the oil pump. So what you do, you stick your funnel here. So what you want to do, stick your funnel here. Most of it's going to spill, so you want to take your time. Just pour it very slow until this hole fills up. Once this hole fills up, you come around here and you'll twist this counterclockwise. While you're twisting it counterclockwise, you can easily look over and you will see the oil draining down. So, the more you twist it to the left, the more it'll drain down into the oil pump. So I say you crank this about 5 to 6 times. Come back over here with your oil, then you come back over here with your oil funnel, fill it up again, real slow, make sure it fills all the way up. Come back over here, twist it about 5 to 6 times. I usually get the oil down into the oil pump. And what's happening is you're reverse feeding the oil into it. So once you're feeding it down into the oil pump, the pump moves it all around with your hand motions on the crankshaft. And this actually makes the oil go back down into the oil pan. So what you're just doing is literally just trying to get some oil fed into your oil pump. All right. So if you have a GTE, some people really don't block these off before they do it, just because you're going in reverse. But me being me, I usually put all my fittings on. I put everything on, so it's like everything was though the oil will come through, and any chance it won't happen. And don't forget to put your oil pan plug on too, guys. So that's literally how I do my oil pump when the engine is out the car. When it's in the car, you can do the same exact thing. But before you start up, I usually take my plugs out. Like I don't have my plugs in already. Take my plugs out. Everything's on the engine, the filter, the housing, everything's buttoned up. And I go ahead and I crank the car up, and I just hold it while it's cranking. And I look at my AEM electrical gauge. Or you can look at the ECU to make sure you have oil pressure rising. Put your plugs in. Start the car up. Double check your oil pressure is where it should be when the car is running. And you should be good to go as far as priming your oil pump. I know it's probably like a million other ways people prime their oil pumps. This is just my input on how I do my oil pumps. It always works. Never had a problem with, just priming it this way. This is how I usually do it. And like I said, it always works. So you can go ahead and try to use that way if you want. Perfectly fine with me. If you have any input on priming an oil pump, you can drop down in the comment section, because I know it's a lot of different ways to do it that I actually heard of people doing it. This is just the way I learned how to do it years ago. And it usually just works. So yeah, guys, I appreciate everybody for keeping up with the channel. I'm gonna go ahead, put my filter housing on, and I'm pretty much done for today. As you see, the sun's up, so this was like, I think day 3 of me actually being out here just to finish up this video for you guys. So yeah, we should be good to go. But until next time, guys, I catch up with y'all. Peace.